9 o'clock on the dot. Welcome everybody. We'll have some more people join in a second, but again, happy Friday. Not that anybody's counting, but a little over 2 weeks, 17 days for the election. I'm just ready for it to be over with. I'm like y'all. So lots to talk about today. So we're going to hit a few highlights and we're going to check in with everybody. But how about this day in history? I've done this a couple of times, but I find it so interesting. Anybody remember A2 Brute? Little Julius Caesar? Well, Brutus was defeated by Mark Antony on this date back years and years ago. And more importantly, Brutus committed suicide on this date because he got beat by Mark Antony. Just throw that out there. Striking 1981 on October 23rd, the U.S. debt hits $1 trillion for the first time. Today, $27 trillion. So anyway, also birthdays today, John Heisman, former football great, Johnny Carson, and Pele. So happy birthday to those great Americans and one soccer player. But anyway, amazing, the $1 trillion debt here in 81, man. So interesting times again this week. We've seen it's been quiet on the state front, but I mean the COVID test back up. We've seen a spike nationally this week. Hospitalizations are up 5%. Anyway, it's and conversely, you're seeing places like Myrtle Beach lift their mask ordinances or letting them expire at the end of the month. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes next. Staying the course is probably the best advice, but we're seeing that people are just getting frustrated and tired of this, and I get it, but it's not going away, so we got to do our part. So don't forget, wash your hands and wear a mask. USC testing, I think that's a great, y'all saw the story this week about their rapid test is being expanded to other colleges around the state, which is great. I know they're doing a ton of testing at USC. Clemson's testing their kids once a week, which is good, and they're going to be using that rapid test. So good for USC and the School of Pharmacy for their work there. I want to spend a little time today talking about one of the bigger things that didn't get much attention this week, but I think it's a significant study that was done by the city of Columbia. And kudos to the city of Columbia for doing this, but they tackled they engaged with a local economist to take a look at the tax situation in the city of Columbia. And for those, we'll try to put a link on our website for this study, but it's a fascinating study done by Rebecca Gunlifson here in town to look at property tax analysis and executives. Well, that's the executive summary, but I've got the full study too. It's a huge study to talk about tax rates in Columbia, and something that we looked at the Columbia Chamber about 5 years ago. And back then it was a problem. Now it's a bigger problem. But the correlation of job losses to tax increases is pretty notable. And in this study that was done by Dr. Gunlifson over the last year, really is in depth. And so it is comparing other cities in South Carolina, York County, per se, Lexington, Charleston, and Greenville. And I'm going to highlight a couple of points, but it's worth looking at the study. When you're looking for, when accounting for, I'm going to read part of this. When accounting for local option sales tax credit, Columbia's combined commercial property tax rates are 1.95 times higher than Charleston, 1.5 times higher than Greenville, and 1.23 times higher than Rock Hill. It's dramatically different, and it also does the same correlation. The more the taxes have gone up, jobs have been lost in our community at a actually similar, very similar rate. And more importantly, you're going to well, what I encourage everybody to do is take a look at this study. We're going to take a look at it too. I've been in contact with the mayor, and what we really hope to do is, because this situation was not created overnight, this has been done over the last 20 plus years. We really need a study committee with the private sector, the city, the county, the schools, but we've got to sit down and figure out how do we attract more people to Columbia and Richland County. And I would be honest with you, Lexington's not too far away from us. And so we need, Lexington's got to be a part of the equation as well, because we may be here, but they're right below us, and they're higher than Charleston, Greenville, and York County as well. So it's a Midlands issue that we've got to address, and a lot of it is driven by growth in schools, and some of this is a ripple impact of a flawed Act 388 that passed in 2006. But we need to start thinking of remedies, and we need to start thinking of how we can change it here. We may need to do a lobbying effort at the State House, but we won't be by ourselves. We got to address this thing head on, and I treat it like a SWOT analysis, right? It's not a negative, not all negative, not all positive, but let's understand where we are in the lay of the land, and then we can actually, knowing the data, we can make a better educated choices going forward. And so hopefully y'all will take a look at this, and we can look at it over a period of time. I mean, but it's so much data that you got to digest it in small pieces. I'm a Cliff Notes kind of guy or executive summary kind of guy, but sometimes you got to go a little bit deeper than that. And it's all here. So I'll throw it to Rose, and Rose can put it on the website for us to take a look at. But I want to go back and give props to the mayor and Daniel Rickman and city council for really not shying away from this and doing it the right way. More
Carl.
Yes.
So I listened in on the presentation the other night at City Council.
Yeah.
And I think it would be valuable for the chamber, and I'm thinking board, executive committee, issues committee, people on this committee to hear the explanation, because if you're like me, you didn't get all A's in economics in college. And so when you look at all this data, you get overwhelmed and you don't understand it. And I think it would be very helpful if she were able to present this, explain it, answer questions, and also kind of from the chamber standpoint, kind of, compare, if you will, compare and contrast the chamber study versus the study that the city did. So I just give that some thought. I think it may be of value to the members of the chamber.
Well, absolutely. We've been talking about, in fact, I talked to our chair, Tim Arnold, this week about that exact same thing. And where our study actually highlighted some of these same things 5 years ago, this was done in a far broader perspective, a lot more in depth. Rebecca's good and thorough. And so, very similar outcomes. And the takeaway is, forget the specific numbers, but it just says we are an outlier, and we've got to address being an outlier. You can't have the highest tax rates in the Southeast or the highest industrial taxes in the nation and expect to attract and retain manufacturing. if you're going to keep it that way, if you're going to keep your taxes there, then you got to align your strengths, or more importantly, where you're going after the companies you want need to be more of a knowledge-based economy, because they're not paying the 10.5% tax rates. The state is going through a process of allowing, I mean, there's some, you're seeing a reduction of that industrial tax rate over time. Is there a way, can we do the same for commercial tax rates? Because what we also are having a problem with affordable housing. Well, what adds to affordable housing? Rent rates are skyrocketing. When we are almost 2 times the tax rates of Charleston, those taxes on commercial property, i.e. apartment complexes, are going to be higher here than down in Charleston. So affordability is a big piece of this. And so huge trickle down impact. So, and everything's connected, right? Just like South Carolina, it's 2 degrees of separation. It's no different here, and coming up with a solution. It's going to take a partnership with local government, the schools, and the business community to say, hey, look, where can we, because the reality is a lot of this stems, again, from Act 388 that passed in 2006. But there is absolutely zero appetite to go back and change that law to put taxes back on owner-occupied homes. So we got to figure this piece out. And part of it's not the entire problem, but we do have a large amount of property that's non-taxable. And so that just adds another wrinkle to the equation. And again, we're not changing that either. It's just a piece, just something we got to recognize, we got to deal with. But going forward, it's going to have to be a very deliberate process with all stakeholders at the table to find solutions to this.
Yeah, Carl.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the point that you just made needs to be emphasized a lot more, and that is I was going to ask the question: does a study factor in index of taxpayability? Because one thing that Columbia has and Richland County has is more non-taxable property than probably any other community in the state. Now that could be debatable, but when you talk about state government, universities, hospitals, et cetera, we have a lot of property that's non-taxable and index of taxpayability. So I'm asking a question, does that factor into the report?
That's part of it. It's like I said, it's pretty inclusive. It even goes in to talk about the number of parcels that are owned within the city, who owns them. This should shock no one here, but the largest grouping of non-taxable property is churches in City of Columbia. State government, including the university, is second, I think. So yes, we got tons of non-taxable property, more so than our peers by a large margin. It does take into that account. It also it talks about growth and employment and wages over the period of since 2010. Most of the data is about 2 years old, and so you're really looking at numbers through 2018. Because 19 is just coming out now. So when you're looking at this report, it's a couple of years old, but it does show trends. And we've shown a positive growth in most of the measurables. It's just our measurables or our growth is a fraction of what it is in other parts of the state. And so if we're growing 2.5% versus Charleston 15 or Greenville 33, or from a population standpoint, this is what the working population ages 25 to 54, we've grown by 2.5%. Charleston's grown by 15.5, Greenville by 33.5, and Rock Hill by almost 64%. That's crazy. That's some significant growth. And talking about the growing pains that they have up there. So anyway, I won't belabor it because it's hard, and I'm not going to share my screen with y'all because y'all get sick looking at this. But I do highly encourage y'all to do it. And John, Kadena, we're committed to doing something. I've got to call into Dr. Gunlison to see if she can present this but it is the city's report. So it may be somebody from the city that has to do this. And so I'll talk with Palin and the mayor and figure out what the best course of action is. But I think it's really well done. And so I really appreciate the city doing this. And because the city has lowered their millage rate the last couple of years. They've done a really nice job. But it is the nature of being a capital cities are unique. And y'all have heard me say this before. I think it's important to recognize where we are to other places in the state, notably Charleston and Greenville, but it's also unfair. And we also need to take into account our population is different, socioeconomically we're different. And that is more in line of a capital city. And capital cities have a diversity that these other communities just don't have. And so apples to apples is important, but it also, we're going to be judged by other people in the state. So you got to look at both and take it all within to account. So anyway, so happy to present that to y'all or look it up. So, all right, I can go on about tax. I love that. I did not major in economics, but I do like it. I love the study of it. So, but I'm thank you for letting me know they had those classes at Clemson.
I heard they did.
All right, what else is going on? How's business for folks? I see Mr. Young, Charles Young's on, and I saw a bunch of buses on the road last week. So I hope business is good. Mr. Curry, how are things at Transitions? He stepped away. All right, who had Stacy Painter's just paying attention. She's praying that I wouldn't call on her.
You can totally call on me. I know I'm kind of new, but I am loving this way to start my Friday. So thank you for having me, but things are good. So I'm with AppleOne for those of you that don't know me yet, but so we are excited. We're undergoing a little bit of transition. So we're kind of transitioning who our rep will be with the chamber. So hopefully y'all will see me more, but business is crazy. You know, I was really excited to hear on the news earlier this week that the South Carolina unemployment rate has dropped about a percentage point. So I will say, I told my team that is because of us at AppleOne, because we are working so hard to find people jobs. And it's just a really exciting time to be in our business. It's been definitely a challenge through this whole pandemic, but we are rocking and rolling and always looking for amazing candidates and just killing it right now. It's been really good. You know, we've been really blessed to find some really great candidates. So it's been really good. All good
Great
stuff.
Well, thanks for being on this morning. Mr.
No,
Whipple.
thank you for having me.
Yeah. Tell me about MTC and economic development.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to the top of the morning to all of you. Economic development is good across MTC. We're in the throes of chasing a prospect at the moment for Enterprise Campus. That's always exciting. The 5 tenants that we have here in the accelerator are still operating. They've been operating since day one. 2 have been impacted positively by COVID. Nephron subsidiary makes a handheld nebulizer, and their activity is up. We also have a forensic company in the accelerator. Their product is utilized, in many applications, and because of what's happening in hospitals with COVID, their volume is up, and the other clients that are in here are doing well also. So all is well across economic development here at the college.
Great. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
All right, Craig's back. Craig, I called on you, but how's things at Transition?
Things are going well, Carl. I apologize. I had to deal with some issue and
Well,
I had
good.
to walk out of the meeting and deal with it. Transitions continues to hold at 3 COVID cases. So 2 were residents, 1 was a walk-in, and that's what I said before. So we've not had a new case. We have an intern we're worried about who came from USC, and she's isolating, but we don't have a result on her. And she would have gotten that, she says, from a roommate. So that wasn't even related to us, but we'll see how that goes. We continue to deal with folks, Carl. Our doors are open for people to come in. People should know our focus is really right now starting to shift to the Inclement Weather Center. So for business folks, the Inclement Weather Center will be open this year like other years, starting 1 November. People should go to the Comet Central. So if they're around your stores, you say, hey, you need to go to Comet Central, and it opens on 40 degrees and below, and then rain up to 45 if it's 70%. So we're chance of precipitation for the evening. So the conditions are the same. The city's been helping us very well with an awning. We're extending the awning down at the shelter at the Inclement Weather Center, and we're putting dots on the ground that are 6 feet apart. And of course, everyone will have their temperatures taken by our staff before they get on the bus to go down there. We're still in debates with Prisma on exactly what can happen in terms of the MIH team coming to check them at Comet Central if they test 100.4 or higher. But our goal is to do the temperatures before they go down there, because once they go down there and they have a temperature, there's no place to isolate folks. I mean, if you've been to the Inclement Weather Center, they're large, old parking storage buildings. So there's no individual rooms. You're mixed in with a large congregant setting. So the good news is the city's really helping us. We're also looking at putting one of the heating blower type of things outside under the awning so people will be warm. We anticipate the check-in will be a little bit slower, but the bus folks, John Andow's folks, are ready to go and transport people again. Salvation Army's ready to feed folks. So it's going to be a good shelter. They sleep 6 feet apart or more. They'll be wearing masks there except when they eat and shower. And when they sleep, their mask can come off. But still, they'll have masks as they ride down on the buses. They'll have masks as they go through the process. So that's maybe too much, but that's our focus is the Inclement Weather Center, and we're moving quickly towards opening that.
Good, great, thanks for that. Anyone else? I seem to call on Dr. Witherspoon almost every time, and I'm happy to do so, but I know he gets tired of it. But y'all are gearing up, ready for school to start back on the phase 2 hybrid coming up next week.
Coming up on Monday, pre-K 2 hybrid, and then our younger kids, some haven't even been in school. So, even last year with our pre-K and a lot of our kindergarten students. And then November 4th, the following week after, Wednesday will be a flex day. And then in looking at AB, our BEAD students will come on Thursday the 5th, Friday the 5th, and then starting that week of the 9th with A and then B. But we're geared up and ready to get our students back in and continue with this phase.
Do want to thanks for putting the families under one roof on the same day. I didn't think about the challenge of the logistical challenge that probably created, but it does help. So thank you. Yeah, all my girls will go back on the same day, which is yes. Great.
Give you a little break there.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah. All right. Anyone else got anything for the good of the group?
Carl.
Yes, sir.
I do want to give a shout out to Stacy and the folks at AppleOne. They did do a tremendous job, and we were searching for an executive assistant out here to assist us with what we do at the MTC. So kudos to them and the abilities that they bring to the table to help you find talent. So she's absolutely correct.
Great.
Thank you, Sweet Chuck. I'll pay you tomorrow. Don't worry.
Sweet Chuck. Words I've never heard. That's good. That's good as gold for the day. So a couple things going on. We've got, I've talked about it, but the South Carolina Leadership Exchange is coming up the second week of November, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If y'all have an interest, I highly encourage y'all to take a look at the programming. It's a partnership with the Columbia Chamber, Greenville Chamber, and the Charleston Chamber. And it's basically a 3-day virtual conference, but we've got each day's line for a different theme, economic development, education, healthcare, big components there. And we've got many of our leaders in this community going to be on presenting or moderating. We've got the governor and Bobby Hitt and lots of folks from around the state, the ports, hospitals, our higher ed folks. So Molly Spearman is going to join us as well. So ticket information is available on our website, but it's going to be, not everybody can join all the time. I get that. But if you can look at the agenda, find some programming that you like, and mark it on your calendar, I think you'll enjoy it. And they all will be recorded as well. So if you can't make something, you can check it out. Also, November 19th, we're going to have a clay shoot. So you and your friends from work, if you're into clay shooting, we're going to have a clay shoot tournament with the KC West Columbia Chamber, a partnership between the two of us. And so check that out as well. All right, that's from a programming note. Anything else? All right, I hope y'all, it's going to be another nice weekend. I hope you get out and enjoy it. Y'all be safe, wash your hands, cover your face, and we'll see you again next week, okay? Peace out. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
You too now.